The intent of this video is to address the threat Iwo Jima-based fighters and flak pose to B-29 bombers on their way to and from Japan. This video is in response to questions posed by the channel's YouTube user community and this clip from the History Channel's Dangerous Mission series, Assault on Iwo Jima.
Their only obstacle was Iwo Jima, a small island shaped like a pork chop about halfway to Japan. Japanese fighter planes based at the two airfields on Iwo launched attacks on the American bombers.
Both the channel subscriber comments and video indicate that Iwo Jima fighters and flak were a direct threat to bombers and therefore needed to be neutralized by invasion. Both Japanese fighters and flak batteries were deployed on Iwo Jima. Iwo Jima lies within the flight path of the 21st Army Air Force's B-29s deployed from the Marianas to Japan, as shown on this map. Once the B-29s were operational, the Japanese did send Iwo Jima-based fighters to strafe B-29 airfields. The first attack occurred on November 27, 1944, as described in this January 1945 impact document. 16 Zeke fighters were sent on a one-way mission. 8 parked B-29s were destroyed. The Japanese sent Iwo Jima-based fighters again to Saipan on December 7th and 25th, destroying an additional 4 parked B-29s, as discussed in this 1945 Analysis of B-29 Losses document. To neutralize this threat, the 7th U.S. Army Air Force has sent B-24 Liberators based on Saipan and Guam to bomb Iwo Jima's airfields. The airfields were bombed almost daily as described in this November 1944 impact document. This image shows the post-bombing damage the B-24s inflicted on Iwo Jima's airfields. The 7th Bomber Command flew 2,724 sorties to bomb Iwo Jima's runways as defined in this May 1945 Operations Analysis Report, FLAK over Iwo Jima. The report indicates only 2 B-24s were destroyed by flak during these missions. The 7th Air Force Iwo Jima flak loss rate is 1/12 the flak loss rate of the 8th Army Air Force's B-17s and B-24s sustained when deployed over the Reich. Due to these neutralization efforts, the Japanese did not mount any successful Marianas raids from Iwo Jima after the December 25, 1944 raid. So, was Japanese-controlled Iwo Jima a threat to the B-29s flying to and from Japan? There were 2 B-29 bomber threats from Iwo Jima. The first threat was Iwo Jima's anti-aircraft FLAK batteries. The second threat was Iwo Jima's bomber interceptors. This map shows the location of the anti-aircraft FLAK batteries on Iwo Jima as of June 1944, as defined in this July 1944 Weekly Intelligence Report. The FLAK batteries consisted of 15 75mm anti-aircraft guns and 21 of the larger 120mm dual-purpose guns, as defined in this June 1945 Defensive Installations on Iwo Jima Bulletin. 10 more 120mm guns were added in January 1945. This image shows a captured 120mm dual-purpose artillery gun. The characteristics of Japanese artillery are described in this February 1946 Survey of Japanese Anti-Aircraft Artillery document. The 120mm Type 3 gun characteristics column is highlighted here. This chart from the Flak Intelligence Memorandum Document Number 4 shows the trajectory characteristics of the 120mm artillery projectile. The x-axis is a horizontal range measured in yards. The y-axis is a vertical range measured in feet. The solid line family of curves represent various parabolic paths of the projectile based on the firing angle. The dashed family of curves equate to the time of flight. For example, for a projectile to meet a bomber 800 yards away from the flak battery at an altitude of 20,000 feet, you will need to set the 120mm gun's elevation to 60 degrees and set the projectile's timer fuse to a 25-second duration. This chart from the same source indicates Japanese battery commanders would open fire at horizontal ranges of 11,000 yards. 11,000 yards equates to 6.25 miles. B-29s flying beyond 6.25 miles away from Iwo Jima will not be subjected to effective Japanese anti-aircraft fire. This image represents a 6.25 mile radii around the center of Iwo Jima for reference. There were 37 bombing missions by the 21st Army Air Forces between October 27, 1944 and the invasion of Iwo Jima on February 19, 1945. This list represents 37 missions including the mission number, date of the mission, mission target, bombers airborne, and B-29s lost to enemy action. The first B-29's bombing mission from the Marianas occurred on October 27, 1945. 18 B-29s were dispatched to bomb the island of Truk's airfield. Truk is located in the bypassed Carolinas island chain as shown on this map, identifying Japanese-held territories as of February 1945. This chart categorizes the 37 missions by target type. The island of Truk was bombed during 9 separate missions. The goal of these missions was to neutralize Truk's airfield and submarine base. The bombing route from the Marianas to Truk does not pass along Iwo Jima. 3 of the bombing missions were considered recon or sea searches to support the Iwo Jima invasion. The bombers were not loaded with bombs and did not engage the Iwo Jima's flak or fighters. No bombers were lost due to enemy action during the Truk or sea search missions. B-29s were deployed to bomb Iwo Jima on 7 occasions. The goal was to neutralize Iwo Jima's landing fields or artillery emplacements. This image shows the results of Iwo Jima's bombing mission on November 5, 1944. I don't believe this image has ever been shown in public. Since the B-29 bombers flew within the 6.25-mile FLAK effective zone, they were fired upon in 6 of the 7 missions. Only one of the 240 B-29s that flew bombing sorties over Iwo Jima was hit by FLAK. The damage was considered minor. None of the other bombers were hit by FLAK. This is a mission summary chart for the November 5, 1944 bombing mission to Iwo Jima. The chart indicates no enemy air opposition was encountered. The anti-aircraft fire was characterized as heavy, meager, and inaccurate. Heavy indicates the gun caliber was 75 millimeters or greater. Meager indicates the flak shell bursts at a rate of less than 2 per second. Inaccurate implies the flak projectiles were bursting beyond the danger zone or no hits. Iwo Jima-based Japanese aircraft rose to attack B-29s on only one of the 7 Iwo Jima bombing missions. On the November 8th mission, Iwo Jima-based fighters dropped 6 phosphorus bombs on B-29s as defined in this mission summary chart. No damage was inflicted. The fighters did not fire their guns or cannons. The Marianas-based B-29s were deployed to bomb Japan on 18 missions from November 1944 through February 1945. The return route took the bombers close to Iwo Jima, as shown in these mission route charts extracted from the various tactical mission reports. None of the 1,600 B-29s that flew to Japan or back were ever attacked by either Iwo Jima-based fighters or Iwo Jima-based ground artillery. The tactical mission reports do not indicate that the crew should even be alert when flying past Iwo Jima. This December 27, 1944, Tactical Mission Report outlines typical comments regarding the route to Tokyo. No other difficulty was reported on the route to the IP. On the return trip back to the Marianas, no unusual incidents were reported. In summary, 21st Bomber Command flew 37 combat missions representing 2,079 B-29 sorties at the start of 21st Bomber Command operations in November 1944 through Iwo Jima's invasion in February 1945. Only one B-29, which was targeting Iwo Jima, was slightly damaged by flak. None of the B-29s deployed to Japan were ever shot at, attacked, or molested by either Iwo Jima station fighters or flak. The premise that Iwo Jima's fighters and FLAK gunners were harassing or shooting down B-29 bombers flying to Japan is simply not substantiated by the data. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking, commenting, or subscribing to the channel World War II U.S. Bombers.